Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, J.J. Watt, the GOAT, the Eternal, the realest one of all time in Texans franchise history. Is he returning to the team this year? I'll break that down in just a moment. Some interesting stuff just said by DeMeco Ryans and J.J. Watt this past weekend, so it's a little bit more likely than I thought it was just 24 hours ago. Also, we look into Bleacher Report's article on the Texans' biggest weakness after the 2024 NFL Draft is over. After, the dust is kind of settled, what is the weakest position on the Texans right now? That'll be on the back half of today's episode. But before we get into the J.J. Watt discussion, I got to ask you folks at home, your favorite J.J. Watt moment with the Houston Texans. What would it be? I mean, the first one that comes to mind is the pick six against the Bengals 2011 wild card game. I mean, that one was insane. Another one, the pick six against the Bills with E.J. Manuel. That was another insane one where he just took that screen pass like 70-something yards. Those are two ones that come to mind. I know there's dozens more, so go down memory lane. Let me know your favorite J.J. Watt moments down in the comment section. Let's get right into it. Return of the GOAT? Could it be? J.J. Watt hinted at a possible return to the Texans at his charity softball game this past weekend. This is what J.J. Watt had to say. And keep this in mind because I have something that DeMeco Ryans said just a couple minutes ago, which we'll tie into this right here. This is what J.J. had to say, though. I'm very thankful to have walked away healthy and playing great. I told DeMeco last year, I said, don't call unless you absolutely need it. But if you ever do call, I'll be there. And he knows not to call unless he absolutely needs it. So, could J.J. Watt be returning? Return of the Watt? Return of the Watt? I don't know. I mean, his last action was in 2022, so he had a year off, but he had 12 and a half sacks his last season, 18 tackles for loss. He was in no way a scrub in his last season playing in the National Football League. Has had a year off, but JJ even said himself, he's still in really good shape. And if there's anybody, if you, I mean, in my opinion, the best Hard Knocks ever was the year that they did it with the Texans. If there's anybody that can get back into shape and who I truly believe has the mental capacity to come back and make a comeback into the NFL, it is one J.J. Watt. If you watch those Hard Knocks series, this man was getting to the gym at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Practice started at like 10. And he's at the gym in the facility 5-6 hours before working out, doing his own workout sets. I mean, if anybody can do it, it's this dude. And looking at the defensive line depth chart, I mean, you have your guys outside, but if JJ returns, I think he kind of fits on the inside a little bit more and plays that 3 technique, and you have him and Denico Autry and Foley Fodakasi kind of rotating in and out as your 3 defensive tackles. You could obviously still use him on the outside, but he plays all along the defensive line. So that begs this question. Be real, because I know whenever it was first brought up, people were like, stop it right now. No way this is happening. No chance in hell J.J. Watt re-signs with the Texans. But I want to know from you folks at home, would you sign J.J. Watt? He's been out for a year. Would you do it? Give me a yes, give me a no down in the comment section. Honestly, why not? I mean, there is no downside in signing J.J. Watt. At worst, you have J.J. Watt on your sidelines, one of the best Texans, in my opinion. I mean, has to be top 3 Texans to ever lace it up. I mean, this dude is an absolute animal. He adds depth and he adds leadership to this team onto a team with, a former teammate of his, DeMeco Ryans, where they've gelled a lot in the past. And then this, speaking of DeMeco Ryans, just came out from Sean Pendergast. This was at a charity golf event that DeMeco was attending. Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans exchanged with the media today on J.J. Watt, saying Saturday that if DeMeco needs him to play, DeMeco can call him. And this is what DeMeco said in reference to that quote I showed you earlier. DeMeco said this: I need him now. Anytime J.J. Watt's ready to go, I'm ready to go. I mean, it sounds like a reunion is in the works. J.J. said, if you need me, I'll be back. And I don't think he was kidding. I think he was dead serious talking to reporters about, if DeMeco ever needed me, I'm a phone call away. DeMeco in response saying, all right, well, it looks like we might need you, JJ. So I want to get this off the ground and rolling. So if you could, share today's video, select the X icon, click post to X, and tag JJ Watt. And if you could, use the hashtag return of the Watt. Let's get it going because I want to see JJ back in Houston, back with the Houston Texans. And if anybody's going to win anything with the Houston Texans, and this isn't me saying the Texans are a shoo-in to win the Super Bowl, because you still have to go through the Chiefs. You still have to go through the whole season in that mind. But if anybody should be on this team whenever they're having a chance to go to the Super Bowl, I think it should be J.J. Watt. Everything he's done for the city of Houston, everything he's done for the franchise, bringing this franchise, back into relevancy during those years, during his heyday where he was Defensive Player of the Year in back-to-back seasons. So could you please help me out? Tag J.J. Watt on Twitter with this video. Hashtag return of the Watt. I want him to see this video, and I want him to see the amount of Texans fans that truly want him to return and help this team into greatness next season. Because if you're telling me I can get any remnants of this, 12.5 sacks, 18 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, I mean, even if he gets 9 sacks this season, 8 sacks, hell, if he gets 7 sacks this year, it's worth it because he is a franchise legend here with the Houston Texans, and I wouldn't mind it whatsoever to bring J.J. Watt back to this team and see what he can do and possibly help us on that Super Bowl run. Now, coming up in just a moment, we look into a Bleacher Report article on the Texans' biggest weakness after the 2024 NFL Draft. But before we do that, got to show some love to our friends over at Fanatics. You go to chatsports.com/Texans jerseys. They have all the jerseys available, all 4 of the new threads for you, the H-Town ones, the home ones, the away ones, the battle red ones. They have them all there for you. Just go to chatsports.com/Texans jerseys. That'll be in the comment section and description of today's video. Like I said, Tex did this on purpose. Producer Tex knows this one's my favorite. The white Stroud jersey. I'm going to get it, Tex. I'm going to get it. I'm going to end up getting that jersey. You can too if you go to chatsports.com/Texans jerseys. Now, according to BR, Bleacher Report, as the kids are saying, the Texans' biggest weakness going into the 2024 season is the center position. And this is what Bleacher Report had to say. Michael Deiter was the Texans' primary starting center last season as rookies Scruggs and Jarrett Patterson both suffered injuries. Deiter is now in Washington, and relying on 2 players who both missed a significant amount of games last year is a risky proposition, especially with the future of the franchise directly behind them, which, I mean, I tend to agree with. I mean, it is a risky proposition. That's why I think the Texans ended up going offensive line with their second pick in the draft, because happy Stroud, happy crowd, and they want to make sure that Stroud is on his feet. So they went ahead and got an offensive lineman. But looking at the center position, I actually am not as worried because I like the prospects of both Scruggs and Patterson. Scruggs looked last year, but that was at left guard, a position where, he was slated to play center for the Texans, and then they moved him to left guard. And then Jarrett Patterson, the late round pick out of Notre Dame, I'm really interested to see what he can do this season, because last year in the 7 games he played, 0 sacks allowed. He looked fantastic. He looked like a late round steal the Texans got. So I'm really interested to see in camp in the preseason who DeMeco, who Bobby Slowick, and this coaching staff go with on who's going to be the starting center. So let me ask you folks at home, if you had to predict it right now, who do you think plays center? Do you think it's Scruggs type JS or Jarrett Patterson type JP? Right now I'm typing in my JS. This is the only way I see Jarrett Patterson getting the starting center spot, and it's with this depth chart right here of Scruggs playing left guard, which I don't really think they want Scruggs to play left guard. I think they'd rather play him at center, and in that instance, I don't think they play Patterson at guard. So I think there's 2 instances with it. I think one, Kenyon Green, the former first-round pick from Texas A&M, he's your starting left guard, and Scruggs is your center, Jarrett Patterson the backup, Titus Howard at right tackle. Or the one that I've been saying is more likely, and I think is the most likely, which I've been getting ripped apart by some people in the comment section. You can do that right now if you'd like, but this is the one that I think is the most likely, where they move Titus Howard actually into left guard, Scruggs at center, and you put Blake Fisher at the right tackle position. I think that is what the Texans might go with. Now, they could move things around. Maybe Blake Fisher isn't as ready as we think he is, and they move him to backup. But if Blake Fisher's ready to play, and I think he is, He's a really good prospect. I think this one might be it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me on Twitter. You can follow me at Jeremy Chuggs. Don't forget, share today's video. Tag JJ Watt. Hashtag return of the Watt. Get it going. Get it flowing. I need to see JJ back in H-Town. Share the video and use hashtag return of the Watt. I want to see our boy JJ, the legend himself, return to the Texans. And it's interesting because there's a guy the Texans signed this past offseason in Danielle Hunter. And he was asked, producer Tex, he said, will you wear the 99? Because that was his number, Danielle Hunter. And Danielle Hunter said, no, I'm not going to wear the 99. That's for one person and one person only with the Houston Texans in one JJ Watt. What do they know that we don't know? He said, I don't want to be 99. Maybe they're leaving 99 open for somebody else. We'll have to see. If he does sign, we're going to go crazy here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe and join the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/TexansTV or go down below and hit that sub button.